all the others in the back game. Slowly get the tempo just enough to keep these bitches tight. All my niggas get bitches.
What's going on, everyone? Back with another one. So I want to address this comment. And this comment was left on one of my more recent videos that was actually addressing another comment. But what you're going to find out with my social media and my commentary, there's a lot of overlap. A lot of things are extremely congruent. So getting right into this comment. It says, black people don't want mixed race or biracial people to use terms like mulatto or whatever, because they know that if mixed people use terms like that, they'll finally stop identifying as black. Precisely, that is 100% correct, extremely accurate. Because what I've come to find out is terms like mulatto, there's a sense of wholeness, right? It's an actual racial classification. It indicates a fusion, a mixture of European and African. And what I always say is when you say that you're mixed race, it's basically too ambiguous. It's open to interpretation. You could be mixed with this, that, blah, blah, blah. But when you say mulatto, it's ultra specific. You're indicating that you are of dual heritage, European and African. Very simplistic. And also, when you use terms that are kind of more innocuous and ambiguous, like biracial, you're indicating a split, right? With biracial, bi meaning two, racial, two races, you're indicating a split. And because the one drop rule is very prevalent in the United States of America, where it was established, to whereby there's kind of a default setting. Or oftentimes you'll hear people say, particularly black people, will say, you need to pick a side, right? That's one of their attacks towards us. You need to pick a side. And my reply is always, not the losing side. But when they say you need to pick a side, so then if you can't pick the white side, well, because of the one drop rule, right? Oftentimes by default, you're going to be stuck with the black side. Now that was more of a thing, I feel like, in the past. Let's say from, the 1924 when the Racial Integrity Act was established, but then also all the way up until probably the 70s or 80s perhaps, right? I feel like now today, 2023, like there is more room for biracial people, let's say mulatto people, in white spaces, in white society, or I guess the general society. So this idea where we're not fully accepted there, well, I would say that's false, because as we can see in many different states, they actually do in fact have a multiracial or biracial or two or more races box to check for government application forms and for job applications. That right there is an indicator that in the main white society, they are carving out a space and making room and acknowledgement for people who are of dual or mixed heritage. And then you put here, and if mixed race or biracial people stop identifying as black, then the black community loses all its credibility and credit. Very interesting comment, and I can't say that I disagree. There is a lot of truth to that, as I've noted before, especially when you look at the civil rights contributions, right? People involved in that civil rights movement. Disproportionately, overwhelmingly, a lot of mulatto people were involved in that movement, from Rosa Parks, from Thurgood Marshall. There's a whole list. And even within kind of post-slavery Reconstruction era per se, Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a very long list of contributions that a lot of these black people take credit for. That's really mulatto contributions. We can talk about Adam Clayton Powell, and then also Charles Drew, who was the man who invented the blood bank, who worked for the American Red Cross. So we do have a lot of these kind of historical figures in American history that are mulatto that black people take credit for, right? Because what I often say, a quote that I made for myself, is that they will claim all your wins and victories, but at the same time exercising the right and privilege to outgroup you at their convenience. So as we're making history now, we have to stop them from doing that. And continuing on, as it says, because as we know, They like to use mixed race people for their privilege and credit. It benefits them when the world says that Obama is black, that Meghan Markle is black, that Alexander Dumas is black. Of course, and that's facts, because it adds visibility to black people. They want to claim all these mulattoes like Obama. He's the first black president. We had a black man at the president, so we could be the president too. So yeah, so on the international scale, right? They'll claim the achievement of this mulatto, right? It'll give them this kind of sense of, they'll take credit for it, right? They'll take credit for it. Same thing with Meghan Markle, right? Where they're basically saying that Meghan Markle is a black princess, and we look at her, it's like, yeah, okay, guys, yeah, that's right. And this is a very interesting comment, so I'm really happy to provide my commentary on it. So continuing on, as we read here, it says, they steal mixed people's identities and accomplishments to make their community seem diverse and talented, right? And I gave some kind of examples of historical icons in American history who they all take credit for. But as we can see today, 2023, going into 2024, a lot of those same people are being pushed out, right? If they can't use you to their benefit, then they will find ways to outgroup you and exclude you, right? And it says, I'm not saying they don't have talented or diversity in their own community, which I agree. I'm just saying that they need to stop making the world believe that a person with a non-black parent is a black person. Bingo, facts, exactly. And you put here, the mixed race identity can exist. Now, like I said, for me specifically, I would say embracing mulatto-ness. The last statement you put here is very profound. I'm going to read this probably a couple times, but give my commentary. You put here, they really need to understand that mixed race people are not their property and that it's not up to them to decide who mixed race people are. Now, that is a profound statement that I'm going to continue to say for now on. And I saw this, I read this comment, I was like, this is gold. But your final statement here really exemplifies everything what I'm trying to do with my social media, with this channel. What I'm doing is basically establish our personal autonomy. And there's some people who don't like that. I had somebody put a comment somewhere basically against the fact that I was actually promoting that we have a mulatto flag. We have a banner, a symbol that represents us. There's a lot of people who don't like that. They want to keep us underneath another group, and then they'll refer to us as a subgroup. How does that make you guys feel? That somebody will identify you as a subgroup beneath another group. I mean, that is a despicable existence that I cannot endorse. But your last final statement here hit the nail on the head of everything I'm trying to do and accomplish with my social media. They really need to understand that mixed race people are not their property and that it's not up to them to decide who mixed race people are. It's up to mixed race people to decide who they are and how they choose to identify. And what I try to do is provide people, mulattoes, mixed race people, with an alternative option, what I call the third option. You don't have to choose between this one and that one. You have other options out here, and I want people to look into that and to embrace that. And it's only going to be inevitable into the future as this grows. So thank you for your comment. Shout out to you. I really appreciate it. And until next time, beautiful people, adios.